Hello, Toddbog here, and I'm doing a different kind of video here today. It's a reaction video to the recent announcement of the Conquest of Elysium 5 game. Those of you who have been following my channel or have stumbled across it know that I've been playing quite a lot of their previous iteration, the Conquest of Elysium 4, and that I'm thoroughly enjoying that, and I'm very excited about this announcement and couldn't wait to put together a video. I did have one up for a short bit, and then I decided to try and get fancy and do some editing and things like that. I'm not very good at it. I screwed it up. So at the end of the day, we're back here. We're going to redo the video here, and that way I will remember next time when editing to not delete the original or use the original, have a backup. But anyways, so we're going to get started here. So some of this I've covered, and I've done some more research since then. So those of you who've watched the original, definitely check this one out if you're interested in learning a little bit more. So first we'll start with the top blurb here. Conquest of Elysium 5. Conquest of Elysium 5 is the next game to be released by Illwinter Game Design. Builds on the predecessor and adds even more of everything. So classes, planes, rituals, all that. Refines a lot of existing things, and right now they are looking for feedback in the Steam forum for ways to improve the game. So that includes any tips, tricks, any glitches, any improvements that they feel that they can put into the game that will have a net positive effect. Improve quality of life as well. So they're definitely taking that into account, and you'll see that in some of the work they put into the interface. So first we're going to take a look up here. We've got the map up here. I'm just seeing some things here that we'll see in some of the screenshots, but just want to see if there was anything hidden up here. Doesn't seem like anything crazy here except for this green here in the water, but we'll see that in another screenshot, so I will talk about it there. But yeah, this is one thing I didn't see. And then I did mention this little guy here. It's a terrifying concoction of a lion and an ant body, it looks like. So very cool. It was a little Easter egg. I didn't notice it the first time when I came on after I heard the announcement. Yeah, this is kind of a neat little thing. I don't know if it's an Easter egg or something they slid on there, but yeah, he's there. So the first screenshot we're going to look at is actually this one here, which is clickable. So as you can see now, we've got our screenshot here. Wanted to make sure it's zoomed in enough so that we can view it and see some of the details. So immediately you can see some changes. The mountains are a little bit different, visually speaking. I kind of like the new look. They definitely pop a little bit more and everything like that. And then you can see some of the textures have changed for the farms, villages, and things like that. Looks like our tent village is still the same, but I'm not 100% sure. And I do know that the ancient forest kind of looks the same as well. This screenshot is called Monster Boar, so it's demonstrating this gigantic beast here. Very cool. But there's some things to see. So we noticed this kelp. So that looks like it's a new sea terrain. And so that's going to be an interesting thing. I'm curious to see if there'll be unique summons there, or if it will be capturable by certain classes to gain new resources. So that remains to be seen what happens there. That would be kind of cool. And then as we go around the screenshot, we see some of the usual stuff around. We've got what looks to be a village there. It's hard to tell right now between the village and the hamlet. I'm not sure if it's the number of buildings just like before, or if this is just a different sprite. Because one of the things we'll see in some of the screenshots is that the points of interest will have multiple sprites as opposed to just a singular sprite like before. So this is kind of cool. And a nice little mountain range here, the enemies. Now you'll notice that the units here are in a lighter gray. So did some digging. These may just be factions that hold on to this, but this also represents independent factions that can roam around and maybe do some invading and taking over of lands and things like that. So that was from the forum posts that I read, so a bit of new information that I didn't have when I last did this video, so that's really cool. But yeah, you can see they're a different color here, so that'll differentiate your wandering monsters from your more established ones, so that's kind of neat. Over here we see our little farm like we mentioned before. So new things we see is our pirate faction. So looks like a little pirate guy. And he seems to be on what looks like to be an iron mine of some sort. So that's interesting to see. Always love seeing new units and things and seeing what they're about. So hopefully they have something cool and unique about them too. We also see a serpent here. The serpent could be a serpent, could be a new snake, a giant snake. It could be any number of things. You got your regular snakes here, or snecks, as some people have mentioned. But yeah, so that looks to be a new unit as well. And then we have this little statue here, which I believe was in the original game. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've ran into one of those, so I can't remember what they do. But yeah, so this screenshot really gives us a lot of great information here, so it's really cool to see that. Oh yes, the interface. So as you can see up here, instead of having a sidebar constantly on the map, it's using a top bar instead. So you can see your resources splayed out here, as well as the season is always on display. And then you can see all the planes. And we're going to go into this, but there are 4 new planes here, which is really cool. So we'll get to see some of that as well. And then over here, it looks like we have our probably recruitment, gold income, trade, and some of the usual like scorekeeping and basically administrative things. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so we got all the usual things, and then of course your menu there. So all right, so we'll go ahead and hit back here. So we got the overview. For those of you who are not familiar, Conquest of Elysium 5 is a quick turn-based fantasy strategy game with a touch of roguelike. It's full of depth, details, and monsters, and let me tell you, that is truth. There's so many cool monsters, so many cool things, rituals, strategies, points of interest, and cool events. It's definitely something I'm really enjoying, as you might see from my channel, the number of videos I put up for the 4th iteration of this series. So huge number of factions. Yep, that's very much true. So the main focus is that each race plays differently, and that is a huge focus. Now, I know some of the complaints are balance. Some factions just are better than others, and that's going to be the case, unfortunately, because it seems that when given the choice, the aesthetic plays stronger than the balancing. So you're going to see some really cool stuff that's really thematic for the faction that may not be the strongest in terms of the way the game plays, but they work on balance. They try to make things a little more balanced, but ultimately I'm not playing this game for the balance. I think the imbalances really add to the challenge of playing this game against the environment and everything. The playing against the computer AI. Now, I haven't done much PvP, so that obviously is going to be a focus for some people, and that might be a reason to ask for that. But I think right now in our current PvP landscape, a lot of people are focused on which ones are really powerful, and they work on balancing that out just by being smart with their choices. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, examples here. Perhaps you're playing a druid focused on amassing a vast forest and jungle empire from which to harvest ingredients to summon creatures of the woods with no practical need to conquer mines. Or perhaps you're a dwarf, which, if you haven't checked it out, my Davala playthrough, which is the dwarves, was a lot of fun and definitely challenging. So you get to learn a lot about how that faction works if you want to watch that. But yes, they're concerned with mines and produce units at a set rate every turn. The Davala are queens that birth dwarves every turn. So it was definitely a different style of play for sure. And despite having great quality units, that limitation of having your dwarves born at a set rate and only in select places really changed how I approached the world map and how I approached conquering it. So, and then here we go. Perhaps you're a Scourge Lord whose pyramids of power drain the very life force from Elysium and channel it to him and his heralds. With 24 different factions, that alone is enough to keep your play dynamic as you vie for control of the map to conquer Elysium. So 24 different leaders, all with different play styles. Some will have similar play styles, but they are different enough that your gameplay approach is going to be different. So, and the Scourge Lord is one of the 3 new factions. So, new to the 5th version of Conquest of Elysium is 4 additional planes to interact with. boats and ports, which enable players to travel to islands beyond the main continent. 3 new factions, new rituals and summons for existing factions, and new battle maps for different fortifications. New independent factions that fight each other, which we talked about with the lighter gray or bluish gray coloring. New monsters and more, and different random events and much more. So a lot of cool stuff here. And, you know, the 3 new factions, of course, are going to be a blast. I can't wait. And we'll see them in the screenshots displayed when we go through this video. So we have an idea of who they are. We just don't know all the details about how they play. So the new rituals and summons for existing factions, that's just going to be cool. I wonder if some are going to be gap filling or if some are going to be completely different and maybe transform the gameplay style of some factions. So we'll see what that looks like. So there's 10 different planes total. There's the Infernal plane, which was in the previous iterations, or previous iteration. So a demonologist can summon demon lords, and suddenly somewhere in Inferno, the Citadel's without its master. So really cool effect. You could, as a demonologist, summon all 7 demon lords that exist, and basically have all the most powerful demons from their world. So it's a really cool and neat effect. It takes a lot of time and generally is not practical to do, but if you take the time and you enjoy it, you can definitely do it. So, excuse me. So you could permanently destroy a demon lord by storming Inferno and slaying him there. Otherwise, when he dies, he goes back to Inferno. So it's kind of neat. There are a lot of planes, but you only rarely have to visit them. Some will visit the planes more often than others. But they do continue to run in the background and make certain actions or random events more exciting. Among the new planes is the Sky Realm above Elysium, and this is really cool. This will be interesting to see how it plays out. But from the clouds, flying armies might descend upon the inhabitants of Elysium, only to take to the skies and retreat if their losses were significant. But the clouds are not obtainable. Beanstalks, rainbows, and tall mountain spires allow ground-born armies to ascend to the clouds. So you'll be walking on clouds, and we'll see that in the screenshots as we look through. But yeah, this is a really cool and neat effect. The question will become, and we'll see it in the screenshot, is are people on the ground going to have to constantly check the plane in the air just to make sure there aren't large armies standing up there? I wonder how they're going to indicate that on the ground so that you're not caught by surprise by a massive army just sitting right above you and you didn't manage, or you didn't bother to check or change the planes to see it. So we'll see what happens with that. Most factions start with this random set of rituals and a random set of combat spells, and together with random maps will ensure no 2 games are the same. And this is very much true. Sometimes it's a detriment. Certain factions do require certain rituals in order to have a solid start. Otherwise, you're fighting at a disadvantage, and you have to overcome that. But it is a roguelike at the end of the day, and I think adjusting to those starts is part of the fun. But yeah, for optimal gameplay, those who are looking to play the best and be the best every time they play, some may even do restarts until they get the right set of rituals. So new rituals will make that a little more difficult to get that optimal set, but at the end of the day, I think it'll be fun. So we'll see what happens with that. This was most relevant when we saw my playthrough of the Enchanter and the Illusionist. If you don't have the right set of rituals, then you're spending your resources early on getting the right rituals. And if you're playing the faction new, like I was, without having played them before, you don't know what the right rituals are, and you may have a powerful ritual that you just need to research in order to turn the battle around and such. So practice does make perfect, but that's going to be interesting to see how that balances out as well. So I wonder if they'll add a new level, because currently rituals are 1, 2, or 3 in level essentially, and I wonder if they'll add an additional level for anybody. So in addition to the aggressive wildlife, there's random events to contend with, from bumper harvest and bandits to the very gates of the underworld opening into Elysium. Had that happen to me as well. Check out my barbarian playthrough to see how crazy that is. There was also talk in the forum about an event where heaven and hell, Inferno, and I forget the name of the celestial plane. I don't know. There's an event that would trigger that those two would start fighting. So an apocalypse on Earth kind of situation. So that'd be interesting to see if that gets fully implemented and put in the game, and see what happens when that does occur. So So that's our description there. And again, if you go to Steam, this is the same description that they have on Steam. So if you get it from their website or from Steam, that's the same. What isn't the same, and we'll explore Steam to get it, is that the Steam has one additional screenshot that isn't in this website here yet. So I don't know if that's an oversight or just a little Easter egg for people hunting. But so let's go to the screenshots. So this is the Scourgelord, as you can see by the title. So Scourgelord, as you can see, is a Middle Eastern inspired faction. You got your camel rider here. You got Karif, looks like got a turban and things like that, and then you've got this priest here. So that's very cool. As you can see, he's over here in this corner here. The new jungles look very lush, so definitely a big improvement over the previous jungles. So that's really cool to see. And you'll see that there's the farm, there's your hamlet with, it looks like 3 buildings now, and then this looks to be a village with 5. So I don't know if that's going to stay the same or if I've got that incorrect. You'll also see that here the tribals are different, so there are actually multiple versions of the tribals now. So this is, I believe, a Serpent tribal, so that's going to be cool to see. We see your pygmies here. And then what we see here are coastal hamlets, it looks to me. But you see they have maybe a coastal village as well, or market village. I'm not sure, because you can see the building numbers, so this could just be a hamlet too. And actually, just judging by the start here, I'm guessing this is a hamlet, because generally that's what you start with. So I wonder what a village would look like if we haven't seen it yet. But anyways, you have 3 different versions, as you can see, of the coastal hamlet, or what looks to be the coastal hamlet. So there's not just using the same sprite for each one. You actually get different sprites for a little more variety visually. So that's awesome. Otherwise, in this map, I don't see if there's anything else. Oh, you can see that there is a side menu once you have a unit selected, and you can see your usual options: sentry, transfer units, and use special powers. So that's cool. And then you can see that their special resource is a pyramid. As they mentioned in the description, they have the pyramids draining the very life essence from the area, and I'm guessing that's what's related to that. So it's really cool. Otherwise, your usual resources and your planes, of course. So very cool. So that's Scourgelord screenshot. And then we got this screenshot here. So this is a nice battle one. Tower Bridge, which is the fortification here. And those of you who've played Conquest of Elysium before, or Conquest of Elysium 4 before, will notice that this is a big change. Fortifications used to be the same kind of thing. It was a wall, or it was a double wall, and your troops would stand on it. Sometimes there'd be a gate, sometimes it would be empty, depending on the structure. Old ruins, for instance, didn't have a gate. But in this case, the Tower Bridge on the map is essentially, 2 sets of towers, each on the opposite sides of a bridge, and now that's what you have. So you're up on these structures here, and as you can see, they've got longbowmen and a couple pyromancers, so this is a pretty powerful defensive force for sure. No melee whatsoever. What I'm not sure of is how effective these guys will be. I don't know if they can actually shoot to this front wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is their... I think it's 6 is their normal range with a longbow. They might get extra, so they might be able to hit the back ranks, but yeah, and then because they don't have any door here, units will get shot, so there is a benefit for this after your front line gets wiped out. So that'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. But you can see, just making sure there's no other things hidden around here. There isn't. Definitely interesting, and I'm curious to see all the different ones. They said new battlefields was a big part of it, so this is definitely something that looks cool. As you can see here, he shot a falling fire spell, and I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 spaces away, so could be the extra height he's getting from the tower or something like that. But anyways, it hits. And you can see all the damage it's doing and everything there. Pyromancers are casting flame bursts on the moose. Green Enchantress summons some wolves, which is what you see there. But you can see some different effects here. This wizard here apparently has a displacement effect, so probably the Displacer Cloak from the icon I can see there. And yeah, otherwise this battle is a fairly traditional battle. I really do think it's going to be a hard one for this side to win, for the I believe the Druid to win with these forces that they have here, simply because of the sheer number that they have here. And with the Moose up in the middle, they're going to die pretty quickly, and these Pike aren't going to get in. So, but you know, we're not here to talk the battle here, but that is definitely something to be concerned about. So, and yeah, Pyromancer's just great for spells. So, yep, it's the Moose Tower Bridge JPEG. So, then the next one we have here is a pretty simple one. It's actually smaller here, but only a few things to note here. So you got Chop and Burn, which Earth Soul can do. So I'm curious if that's a new ability, so that anybody can do it without having fire, or if he has some sort of special ability that lets him do it. So that'll be interesting. And then they use all the gems, so you can see all 4 gems are visible up here. And you can see it's winter and their gold income. They're obviously just starting out. They have a couple mines, and it does look like the mines are identical. However, the under terrain for the mine is slightly different, so that's interesting. So they got a various layers, so you can see that's interesting here. Over here, you've got the Serpent Tribe Village, 1 Serpent Tribe Witch Doctor and 6 Serpent Tribe Warriors. So that's what we were talking about before. And then otherwise, Sentry, Transfer, use Special Power. So pretty simple and straightforward otherwise. Nothing really else to look at in this screenshot. And it's just called Desert. So, and then we got this one here is Couthwine the Baron. Not really much to see here other than it does appear that these might just be hamlets and not villages. It's hard to say. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, it looks good here. What they're showing off is that he has some additional powers, I believe. I have not played the Baron yet. If you're watching my series live, or if you plan on, joining me on my future journeys, the Baron is going to be the next playthrough I do. I'm currently running through the Dark Emperor as of the time of this video, which has been a lot of fun. And if you are interested, there'll be a link at the end of the video that you can click to watch that playlist, or obviously feel free to hit the channel and find it there, or subscribe and keep up to date on it. But yeah, I believe the Swift Justice and Appoint Vassals are new. I'm not sure what they do, but this is essentially showing that off. There really isn't much else to see in this. Obviously, he raised the fort here, which is why this is now a Mott and Bailey. But yeah, so pretty neat. Does appear to be probably an old battlefield there. So, but yeah, no, it looks cool. Yeah, it's just called Baron JPEG. And then we got here a description of Agartha. Agartha is one of the planes. It's underground, essentially. And under the surface of Elysium lies a vast cavernous realm. This is Agartha, rich in golden gems. Here dwells the Deep Ones, blind Olms, and strange cave cows. Olms are awesome, by the way. Unless you're fighting against them, in which case they suck. While these caverns are vast, they are not all connected, and most of them don't have any means of access. Some burrowing monstrosities might be able to dig tunnels to connect the caverns, but for the most part, Agartha is inaccessible to all but the elemental kings of the earth and their servants. Agartha is said to lie between Elysium and Inferno, where demons dwell. While most scholars reject the idea, there are those who claim it would be possible to dig down into the infernal realm to liberate sinners from eternal torment. If this would be morally acceptable is a popular discussion in some magic academies, more so than the discussion on how to embark on such an endeavor. Agreed. Otherwise, not really too much to see. This is definitely one of the realms that people feel should be developed more. Now, playing as the Pale Ones, you should be able to get access to certain creatures that can burrow through, but you have to be careful, because if you burrow through too far, you hit the ocean, then you'll flood the caves and everything. So, but definitely some interesting stuff to be found in these places here. And all the planes are very thematic, and hopefully they'll grow even more so. And this is just called Agartha.jpg. This one is really cool. So, first of all, you see that Geomard is a selected unit, and see, it doesn't tell you what he is, but as you can see, since he can fly downwards, that is an ability there, so he can actually change from this plane to the other plane without having to go through special portals. Some others, obviously, who do not fly can climb up mountaintops and things like that. So, otherwise, nothing crazy over there. So this is one of the new factions who are based in the clouds, I believe. We'll see more in the future, but as you can see, this is, I think they're hovering over this, so they're seeing 1 Cloud Lord and 3 area archers. And then you can see the terrain below, which is just so cool. The effect with just the misting over it and everything like that is pretty awesome. And the clouds do cover, so you can't see what's underneath the clouds. I'm curious to see if this will reflect the actual units that are there. It's hard to say, but you do see an ancient forest here. So we obviously see the terrain at least, so I'm curious. But yeah, no, this is pretty interesting. And again, my concern is that you have to click on this plane regularly just to see what you see in the clouds. And I'm not sure if you can scout from the ground to the clouds or not, so that'll be something else to see. So, but yeah, just a neat change. And looks like they're using sapphires and diamonds, which are the colors of air, right? You know, white for clouds and blue for sky, maybe, I don't know. Also, those are the ones most associated. This is lightning, and then this is air, or no, water. Typically water, I think so. So yeah, I don't know if that's just chosen because of the colors or if there's more decision making in that. There could have access to more as well, and you'll see that in a later screenshot. But yeah, otherwise I don't think there's anything else that we need to see here other than just a cool new plane. So it's just called Clouds, so no giveaways there. Now this is cool. This is Grimner, the Elder Dragon. So a few things to note here. First of all, badass, really cool. 5 armor, 240 health. That's incredible. He's stupid. What that means is that he's actually being controlled, or he's actually allied, I should say, with one of the players. And it appears to be a new faction. But they can't control him directly because no dragon's going to be controlled by little kobolds and things like that. So he'll kind of move around the map. And it appears he's marked in dark to denote that he's stupid. As you can see, there's some other units marked that way too. Although I'm not sure. Because yeah, you got this diamond here too, so be interesting to see what that means. But anyways, tons of attacks, really cool, just badass. Really cool description too. Dragons love gold and other shiny objects, just like trolls. They also share the same excellent sense of smell and seem to get along quite well together. The only reason for 2 such seemingly different species to get along is because they share all other traits. Thus, we can also know that dragons and princesses have an irrational dislike for goats. To demonstrate this, a dragon hatchling and a goat were placed in the same room, each on its own pile of gold coins. This resulted in the goat charging the dragon in an attempt to take his gold and thus ruining the demonstration. No, never use goats for demonstrations. So, kind of neat. Just a little flavor text. So, and then you can see on the map, there are actually these little stones which could affect them, the combat. Could be just blocking terrain, causing your units to have to go around. It is my hope that some of it may be flammable. It could be trees, and perhaps the trees can be caught on fire and it transforms the battlefield. I mean, you do have a fiery breath. I would hope that a tree would fall to that, but yeah, so that's some really cool stuff. And then this I've sort of been avoiding intentionally because this is amazing. So it looks like they're looking at their army. They may have right-clicked on it on the map or whatever, but it gives a summation of all the units in your army. Ugik, the green kobold prophet, so as you see, green kobold. It's one of the new factions is kobolds, I think. But it's commanding 58 units, and it gives you a list of what all those units are. So prior, for those of you who played Conquest of Elysium 4, you should be well aware. If you had an army, you would have to go in and count it yourself in order to find out how many of each unit you had. Now, they would line themselves up in their various tiers, your front, or ranks, your front, medium, and then rear ranks, right? But some, like the Senator, which I'm currently playing through, or now the Dark Emperor, have units that look very, very similar with just minute differences. And sometimes when you're going through and trying to find them, it can be a pain. So this right here gives you that summation, so you don't even have to worry about it. This is cool. This is just a nice quality of life upgrade, and kudos to the Illwinter team, because this is just going to be so much nicer. I can't wait. But yeah, so this is really cool. So yeah, that's what I see here. Oh, and I do want to mention, let's see, green dragon spawns. So they have 10 of them somewhere. So I don't know if that's how they get elder dragons eventually, if they grow. That's kind of a neat thing to look into. So, and then got all these wonderful spells here. I don't think any of these are new, but the only one I'm not 100% familiar with, I believe, is Visions of Dread, but I think that one exists as well. Burst 100, that's insane, but yeah, I mean, he's a nasty little guy. Only casts one spell, but bites 3 times, Fiery Breath, Poison Breath, Dragon Terror, and which is pre-battle, so he can scare all the enemies, and then a tail sweep. So, yeah, very cool. elderdragon.jpg. All right. So this right here is cool because it shows off the new faction again. And as you can see, the other ones were green kobolds. These are white kobolds. And I think these are going to be tied to their various faction abilities. So as you can see here, this one is called Thunderstrike.jpg. The white kobold prophet costs Thunderstrike. So white is usually associated with lightning. You see that with the diamonds being utilized for lightning type creatures and things. So it could be that these guys are going to be tied to that, and then the green ones will be tied to emeralds, obviously, or something like that. We don't know yet because we haven't seen any screenshots, to my knowledge, showing off a kobold force, but this is really cool. Now, these are the new pirates. As you can see, we have regular pirates up here, and they have crossbows. Then you have your pirate captain here. And then you can see another new fortification here. So I'm not quite sure which one this would be. Maybe a, what do you call it, a watchtower? But yeah, new fortification. And then more importantly, if you see here, palisade parapet takes damage, wooden stairs take damage. They're actually damaging the structure itself. So we might be able to destroy this terrain and use that to get through instead of having to go through a door or things like that. And it might give us the in that we need to do certain things. So that is a really cool effect. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, and you can see all the different things taking damage. So they've got some cool unit types here. We got some kobolds with spears. Looks like a kobold with dagger, or these are probably bows. And then the winged ones appear to be stronger, for sure, because they're less in number, but they are rear rank, so they're also bow wielders. So that's cool. Just getting a glimpse of the new faction and everything, and see that. So, all right. So that was that one. This one here is our Baron player again. You can see the interface doesn't have anything new. He does have his special powers and everything, but what we're seeing is the city of scribes. So Swintown. So instead of just being a city, it's called the city of scribes. So I'm curious if that has an effect if you get the 2 books instead of 1, which it looks like you might have here. And maybe there'll be cities that have different focuses, and those focuses will translate into things down here. So that is kind of cool. Don't quite know what that means yet, other than since this bluish gray can count as a faction, then perhaps this tells us a bit more of what that faction is going to be about. Maybe they'll have access to casters and things like that. So otherwise, you can see different types of trees and how they go in winter. So you have your evergreens up here, which are probably because it's the far north, and then you have regular trees, which are de-leafed. So that's kind of cool. Of course, you have your burnt out trees still from fire or something else like that. So now it's interesting that I didn't notice before is the statue is giving vision range for the Baron. So I'm not sure if that's something that's already existing. Again, I haven't played the Baron yet, so I'm not familiar with it. But yeah, you can see the different structures here. There's the old battlefield, giant spider. Otherwise, doesn't seem to be too much else that they're showing off in this one. It's just called Scribe City. So, yeah. And then our final screenshot here is this one, showing off the nice, massive red mushrooms. But it's called oozes, and so that's very much what it is. 2 green oozes on an iron mine. So that's these guys up here. We've got ourselves a mage library, some swamp, ancient forest. Your watchtower looks to be about the same, and then you can see the farms actually look like they're farming something, which is cool. Tent cities again are the same sprite, so yeah, they're identical, so that hasn't changed either. So, but yeah, otherwise this looks like a pretty standard thing. Again, there's a mine here. You can see the hills look to be about the same. That looks like just fog of war there. So yeah, so this one's a pretty interesting screenshot. Doesn't tell you a lot that we didn't learn in the other ones, but yeah, definitely some cool stuff to take a gander at for sure. So all right, and then we got just the part below here. It's under development. Will complete in August if no unexpected problems arise. So if you need to know anything about Illwinter, know this. Even though it releases in August, they're not going to stop developing it. They've been developing updates for Conquest of Elysium 4 and released one just this year, and the game's been out for years. So even though that they are releasing in August, they're going to continue to work on patching it, and that's why they're asking for those recommendations and see if it's something that doesn't require a major code change or anything, or something that they feel like would be a fun addition to the game. They're looking to see what they can do to bring those in. So definitely cool. So you can't buy it yet, but you can wishlist it on Steam. So I highly recommend doing that. I don't think they have a price announced yet. They have system requirements here. So I know some people were asking about that. We'll see that on the Steam page, but yeah, you can buy it, and I'm guessing not going to be more than $30, maybe $29.99, maybe $24.99. I could be wrong, but that generally is where they fall in price-wise. So either way, this is going to be a fun. I definitely plan on playing through it myself for sure. So, but let's check out the Steam site real quick. So we'll do this here. So you can see the Steam site. You can see the same screenshots here with one exception. Let's see. Where is it hidden there? This screenshot is not available on their website. I don't know if it's intentional or not. But as you can see, we've got our Arya Spearman, which uses an ice lance. So you can see that there. A pretty weak unit overall, but they do fly, and they're cold resistant. And as you can see, the basic troops of the Cloud Dwellers are spearmen. Not much can be said about them. They have wings and spears, and that's all they need to be known about them. It's been speculated about the origins of the Arya or the Cloud Dwellers. Though they claim to be ancient as humans, some evidence seems to indicate that they're the result of experimental crossbreeding between man and poultry. While the Cloud Dwellers are more noble than the common chicken, there are some similarities between them in their mental capacities. Love it. And as you can see, there's different colors. So this one is a reddish color, and that one's a bluish color. So I'm not sure what the difference is quite yet. But yeah, definitely very cool. And as you can see, this fortification is quite different. It's got this central area. It does have a gate, which I can see under here. And then it has additional fortifications behind. So if you had a large number of troops, you would have 2 layers of defense, and that might be useful. And then I don't know what that is. Growing on a cloud. I don't know if that's a terrain piece or what. But yeah, this screenshot is only available here on Steam right now. So we'll see what happens if they correct that, or if that's something they intended. So same description we saw, just all in one. System requirements, just to make sure. There were some questions on what OS can be used. Some people are still running Windows 7, so it's Windows 8 or later is what it says. And then Mac OS 10.12 or later, and then Steam plus Linux. So in case you were curious about that. And then they do have their forums open. I don't think you can click straight here to view discussions. No. So what I've been doing to get there is you click the community hub. And then that'll show you all the things, and then you can hit the discussion. So there's that modding wish list, which is something they opened up. Excuse me. Quickly getting a lot of interesting posts. Some are about modding. They basically saying they haven't looked at mods in COE compared to Dominions. So they're looking to see what they can do. They don't mind expanding on them. They say that it'll be second priority, though, in early patches rather than initial release, but quick changes they can do right away. So there's been a lot of requests, and I've been reading through them, just asking for additional support with modding so that they can do more, have more, and just add more content. And then this one you can see here, modding wish list. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked that. Wish list is what I meant to click. So this is just, it's up to 8 pages now. Just a lot of interesting things that people are looking for to add to the game. You know, and some of it you're going to see is just asking for unit types, making battle reports a toggle, things like that. So if you're interested, you can read through this. There's some interesting ideas for sure. Some of the usual stuff you're going to find in forums, but I definitely read through every single post on there, and I will probably do a follow-up video at some point, and maybe a little bit after we gather some thoughts as to what we'd like to see, and kind of put that out so that you guys can check that out. Obviously, if you have seen anything in this video that I've done that you feel should be made aware of, please let me know. I tried to provide my best efforts here, but obviously I'm still learning the game even after the amount of time I've put into it. So we want to continue to do that as well. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. Wishlist it, and then once the game releases, I will definitely plan on getting some videos up of that. And since it's going in August, I should hopefully have all my playthroughs of every class in COE 4 done. So definitely like, comment, and subscribe, especially the subscribe part, since you'll be able to watch as I journey through the rest of Conquest of Elysium 4 and see what that's about. So with that, we're going to go ahead and call it here. As I said, if you have any ideas, if you want to leave me a comment, if you want to say anything about the game, please do. I look forward to those comments, and I will see you guys next time.